The Dave Filoni brand of animated Star Wars TV shows have always been criticized for catering a bit too heavily to a younger audience. Now, in his defense, Dave Filoni's mentor and creator of Star Wars, George Lucas, has said the following.
It's a film for 12-year-olds.
Yet all throughout Lucas's films, spliced in between important life lessons for young audiences and all the goofy fun characters, are scenes depicting the murder of children, domestic abuse, incest, cannibalism, and weird tentacle thing situations. I guess that's how Star Wars has always been. Attract the youngins in with some kid-friendly sequences and then hit them in the face with the cold hard reality of how degenerate this galaxy so far, far away actually is. And I am 100% on board with that. This is a great reaction to helicopter parenting. I like to call it paratrooper parenting. That's when you just take a kid and you release them into the wild, usually into a dangerous and unknown area without any supplies, and then you vaguely promise to pick them up at a later date. That's how I was, raised up, and I turned out. Anyway, in honor of Star Wars' very unique storytelling approach, today I want to take a look at 10 times when Star Wars animated TV shows went a little bit too far. The world of pod racing is supposed to be quite dangerous. I mean, there were Tuskens just chilling on the Boot-Naive circuit, taking pot shots at pilots as they drove by. But at least the pilots signed up for this type of violent encounter. During the Safa Toma speeder races, one speeder gets bumped sideways and its blasters begin to rake the spectators in the stands. One bystander is shot square in the chest, and the most messed up part of this is that everyone just kind of ignores his death and goes back to watching the race. I mean, there is like an announcement shortly after.
A friendly reminder to all our spectators, be mindful of blaster fire. Safa Toma Speedway is not liable for any injury, death, or disintegration. Thank you.
So what exactly are you teaching your younger audiences here? That like life is cheap or something? The Clone Wars did something really amazing and miraculous to Darth Maul, like literally. They retconned his death and how biology worked by claiming he actually survived getting cut in half. You see, Maul would spend several years on a garbage planet where he managed to build a weird exoskeleton spider-like contraption to move him around. That alone is the type of material from which horrendous nightmares are born out of. But that's not even the most messed up part of Darth Maul's comeback story. You see, he really wants to get his revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi, the guy who cut him in half. Maul sets up a trap on the planet of Raydonia for the Jedi and lures Kenobi to him by massacring an entire village and burning it down to the ground. Don't worry guys, you'll see Maul a lot on this list, doing all sorts of crazy and messed up things. Jedi mind tricks have always been a concern from an ethical standpoint. It's something about taking like the free will of others away from them. Now, fans have long debated whether Obi-Wan Kenobi should have invaded that Death Stick peddler's mind and convinced him to give up his craft. Yes, the Jedi was on an investigation and the dealer was being really annoying, but what if that dealer had some crazy loans he had to pay off and he just dumped all of his product because a Jedi used a magical mind trick on him and now he's completely screwed? You can debate the ethics of what Obi-Wan Kenobi has done here because he kind of operates in a moral gray area, in my opinion, but some Jedi who are not born or raised during the age of the Republic and didn't have that kind of Jedi Order training institution will probably be even more inclined to use the Force for pretty messed up things. Like Ezra Bridger, for instance. During one encounter with an all-terrain defense pod, Bridger takes control of the pilot's mind and uses the walker to take out an entire stormtrooper squad, and then he just forces the pilot to take the walker off a cliff. I mean, yes, the Imperials are shooting at Ezra and his friends, but this was a really perverse use of the Force. Not only is Ezra stripping the pilot of his free will, he's forcing him to kill his potential squad mates and buddies, and then kill himself. Very dark. Think about the bloodiest war movies you've ever seen, the most gruesome horrors. I am always reminded of that scene in Black Hawk Down where the RPG goes into the guy's stomach or abdomen and it doesn't go off and it's just kind of stuck there. That always terrified me as a kid. But when Captain Rex rescues Echo from Wat Tambor's laboratory, Star Wars fans were treated with a pretty gruesome image. Echo went from being a healthy and normal clone to a pale, gaunt, emaciated cyborg with all sorts of Matrix-like plugs and fixtures attached to his head and spine. It also didn't help that the clone seemed to be in some kind of altered state of mind, and he was also missing his legs and an arm. It was kind of sad seeing Echo like this. He had died a hero on the Citadel, and now he must contend with the gruesome things that have happened to his body and mind. Now, unfortunately, Dave Filoni has not explored this side of Echo yet. Like, how is this individual coping with this very drastic change to his body? We're already in the second season of The Bad Batch. I think it's a good time for us to explore what's going on with this clone's mind. Mace Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi has always represented the more closed-minded faction of the Jedi High Council and Order. During the Second Battle of Geonosis, Mundi would take part in the Republic's version of Operation Market Garden. The Jedi would carry out a daring landing operation, with their task force split into 3 different groups who were supposed to land in 3 different locations. All of these groups would not make it to their LZ and would encounter heavy anti-aircraft fire from the Geonosians. Some of the Jedi would be even forced to crash land completely off target. Ki-Adi-Mundi's men would be forced to take a detour through a series of caves which were heavily defended by the local Geonosians. Actually, most of the Geonosian hives were underground. This is something the Jedi didn't really understand. When the Starchy Jedi ran into some really serious and stiff resistance, he uttered words I never thought I'd hear a Jedi Master say.
We're almost through! Bring in the flamethrowers!
I know flamethrowers might seem really cool in pop culture and stuff, but the reality is most soldiers revile these things and are horrified by them. There's nothing fun about getting liquid fire shot onto your skin, and in an enclosed area like where the clones use the flamethrowers, the flames could get so intense that it could even suck out all of the oxygen in the area. This is why most modern militaries have voluntarily removed flamethrowers from active duty. It's just too horrific of a weapon. But since the Geonosians were hive mind bug aliens, I guess in this case it doesn't really matter. When Maul took over the Mandalorian throne with the help of Death Watch and his criminal cartels, he also received a bonus prize for his conquest, Duchess Satine Kryze, the former monarch. She and Obi-Wan Kenobi go way back and have a very intimate history.
All right. Had you said the word, I would have left the Jedi Order.
Ever since Maul got his body cut in half, he has been obsessed with taking down Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's not just satisfied with killing him, he really wants to make him suffer in the same way he did. And so he dangles Satine Kryze as bait for his old rival, and as predicted, Obi-Wan Kenobi tries to come to Mandalore and rescue her, but he's captured along the way. Maul ends up torturing and then killing Satine Kryze right in front of Obi-Wan. It's probably one of the saddest moments in the Clone Wars, if not all Star Wars lore, and it was really shocking. Important characters like Satine Kryze generally have a level of plot armor that prevents this kind of stuff from happening. Okay, so Ezra Bridger forcing an Imperial pilot to kill his friends and commit suicide is pretty dark. But even he has some reasons for being the way he is. You can't blame him completely for this. The guy's been playing around with his Sith holocron, and his own master, Kanan Jarrus, was hardly even trained before Order 66 occurred. And so I'm sure Ezra missed a few lessons on how one can or cannot use the Force. Something I'm pretty sure that Jedi during the Republic era were schooled in quite heavily. After all, there is a fine line between Kylo Ren trying to force information out of Poe Dameron's mind and Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to avoid bloodshed with a stormtrooper patrol in a crowded city area. But the reality was, by the end of the Clone Wars, the Jedi had become really utilitarian in how they approached using the Force. When Cad Bane was captured for stealing a Jedi holocron and running around the galaxy pretending to be a Jedi recruiter and kidnapping Force-sensitive babies, Ahsoka Tano suggests that they use the Force simultaneously to make Cad Bane cooperate with them.
Using the Force to compel a strong mind to cooperate is risky.
There is a danger that his mind could be destroyed in the process.
Well, do we have another choice?
Of course, Anakin is always eager to do whatever it takes to complete a mission, and so the 3 Jedi do something truly horrific to Cad Bane and have him confessing within minutes.
No! Get out of my head!
Sometimes the end does justify the means, but if you take that course too often, you might start to normalize some truly bad behavior. And in a war where everything is basically terrible, the tendency for that to happen increases even more. Now, before you begin to feel too bad about Cad Bane, let me remind you that just a few days earlier, the bounty hunter had tortured the Rhodian Jedi Bol Haroba to death while trying to open one of the holocrons he had stolen. Now, Bane finally does manage to convince Anakin Skywalker to open the holocron for him by using his captured Padawan Ahsoka as a bargaining chip. Basically, if Skywalker didn't obey Cad Bane, he would vent Ahsoka out into vacuum. Now, the whole Geonosian mind control worm arc was already full of body horror moments, but what was really messed up about these episodes was what happened when Anakin Skywalker realized his Padawan was in trouble. Anakin goes directly to capture Geonosian leader Poggle the Lesser in order to find out some more information about these very dangerous parasites. Things start off pretty sketchy when Anakin asks the guards outside of Poggle's cell to leave. And when Poggle scoffs at the idea that Anakin might use mind tricks, which don't really work on Geonosians, Anakin responds by first striking Poggle and then choking him nearly to death. His enhanced interrogation methods have worked in this scenario, and Anakin rushes off to go and save his Padawan, but the other Jedi Masters are a bit suspicious on how Anakin was able to get those words out of Poggle.
How did you get him to talk?
Look, all that matters is that he told me how to stop the worms.
Let's end this video with another Maul spectacular. When the fallen Sith Lord went on his comeback tour, one of his first stops he made was at the Black Sun Syndicate headquarters. The Black Suns were one of the largest criminal syndicates in the entire galaxy. They were known for providing armed thugs and muscle for other criminal enterprises. This made the Black Suns one of the best criminal cartels that Maul could take over if he wanted to invade Mandalore. The thing was, no one really knew who Maul was, and therefore the Black Sun leaders never gave Maul the respect he deserved. And so Maul has his brother Savage Opress throw a lightsaber at the Black Sun High Council, which cuts all of their heads off in one fell swoop. Talk about efficient negotiations. Chances are, guys, if you've watched Star Wars animated TV shows, whether it's Clone Wars Rebels or The Bad Batch or The Resistance or the original 2003 Clone Wars animated show, Tales of the Jedi Visions, you've probably seen some messed up things in Star Wars animated content. This video just brushes the surface, really. Let me know in the comment section below which messed up scenes you like the most from the Star Wars animated catalog. And also don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, my name is Alan, reminding you that my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.